Hello, we are live. Welcome to another edition of Hammer Away. As you can see tonight is rock and roll chicken salad. Why? Because uh because Billy had to say no today. Billy Sheehan couldn't make it with us tonight, and so I got a couple of buddies of mine to help me out tonight. I don't know how long Mike can stay. If you can stay for a little bit, let me do a little bit of introduction. This is to my side here, over there. That's Guy Kingsbury. Guy Kingsbury and I have known each other since
Long time ago.
at least 15 minutes ago.
At least, yeah. I was thinking about 17 and a half.
So we have known each other for what, 30 years now?
How old is Logan?
Yeah, I suppose 30, maybe 31 years.
Yeah, however old Logan is, that's how long we've known each other.
I know, right? Yikes.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yikes. Let's see, that one's too much. I think that one's too much. Yeah, that's better. So so Guy and I go back a long way. We'll talk about that here in a minute. And Mike and I just met we met like 2 months ago or 3 months ago, maybe.
Yeah, maybe 5 months ago.
Okay, I'll go 5 months.
Yeah.
That's cool. It just seems like only yesterday.
Yeah, and we talked about 17 and a half minutes with her Guy. I may have jammed with Guy for a whole 17 and a half minutes.
It might have, yeah.
I mean,
there were nights I was on stage that long, so yeah.
Was I in the room for that? I didn't even.
I think you were on base, and you're on base.
Yeah. So let's get started real quickly here. Like I said, Billy Sheehan, he and I are going to reschedule. I'm really sorry for everybody who was all ready for that, like I was tonight. And Billy was very, very sorry that he couldn't make it. And he is super cool dude. And we're going to still talk about him. Oh, we're going to talk about him.
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about it.
While he's not here, we're going to talk about him.
He can't defend himself, so we're on it, man.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the worst times he's ever wished he could have been somewhere.
That's right.
I'm just kidding. I'm a firm believer, as you both know. I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason, and everything happens when it should. So I do not get upset at all when these things happen.
Usually for me, it happens on a Tuesday.
What's that?
So usually for me, it happens on a Tuesday. Don't know why.
Well, I may change the show to a Tuesday at some point, so we don't know. These kind of things could happen. But there's one of my favorite movies called FM. It's from 1978. I've talked about it on here many times. And one of my favorite lines out of that show is delivered by Alec Karras after his advertising carts went to shit. And the head DJ comes in. His name's Dugan. And he comes walking in and he goes, it's not me, man. All the carts just gone. And he goes, well, get on the horn and tell everybody we're going to have commercial-free radio for the next however many hours. And he goes, that's just like you, Dugan, making chicken salad out of chicken shit.
That's why we have chicken salad tonight. All right.
So I totally live by that. Thank you. This is my brother Jeff on Go Game Go. I can't wait until there's a show called Hammer Away, chopping broccoli. So what I did is, hey, I'm not going to abandon you guys. I mean, this is Hammer Away. It happens on Thursdays. Next week it is going to happen on a Tuesday though. And Guy is a cohort of mine next Thursday. That's the reason we're not having it happen on Thursday, because Guy and I are going to be backing up local artist Claudia Rose, who will be here for an interview on Tuesday. So we'll be out and let's promote the Diamond Music Hall out in St. Peters, Missouri. They've had some great shows there. And we will get into our time at the Open Jam there too in a little bit. There's my buddy Blake. Sounds interesting to me. That sounds like a good idea. All right. Thanks, brother. I always love all the backing. That's always great. So what I did was get on the horn, man, and I wanted to talk with my buddy Mike to get me started here tonight, because Mike's got a cool product, and I'm going to see if I can pull it up over here. And tell me about your awesome product, brother.
Well, I started this idea. Everything starts with an idea, right? And it's kind of it's an aggressive one, right? Because most underwear, I mean, that men wear, most of them, right, are they cover you completely up. So your junk is all in, you're confined, and that's what we're used to. Well, I did some experimenting. It was I went to a department store, saw some underwear about 18, 20 years ago that had a crotch that got my attention. I saw this crotch and I said, well, I got to have these. Well, no matter what I did with this crotch, whatever I did with my willy in this crotch, it didn't work. It was stupid, but it got my attention. I said, could I make a better pair of underwear? You better believe it. And so I did. I started putting pen to paper with a good friend of mine named Mel Allmiller at work. And we it wasn't at work, but we would meet at home and we'd put the pen to paper, and I'm liquid stitching fabric and and making this underwear. And now we have Free Willy made in Vietnam. I've launched. It's getting really good reviews. Some of the reviews I get just blow me away. These people, the guys are just like, man, this is like heaven on my junk. And I'm like, are you serious? And these are the DM messages I get, because it feels.
I'm going to bring up your website here real quick.
Okay.
So here we go.
Sounds like a song title to me, Heaven on My Junk.
Heaven on my junk. We're going to write that one this week, bro.
I think so.
Maybe we could do it at Claudia's gig.
You're really happy.
So
there it is right there.
Yeah, that's it right there. So if you scroll down, you can see. Now, these are patented underwear. So if you scroll down just a little bit more, you'll see this. A little bit more.
That's what she said.
There you go. Now see, that's the idea. There's a veil that covers your willy.
A willy veil.
Nice. What doesn't feel better than just going commando, but then having the counterparts tucked in tight? It feels great.
Yeah.
You got to.
So it's the utility patent. Enable your Free Willy with our Iris take cover with our veil and extreme counterpart support.
That's
fantastic.
Pretty different.
And it says up here, it says, yes, Free Willy boxer briefs are exciting and they eliminate several common problems. You were talking about blue balls, big problem.
That some people now, when you get older, I guess when you want to go free balling, you may strain yourself, right? And then your dog sticks to your leg and all that. With this patented underwear, these boxer briefs, you don't have that problem. You can Free Willy and literally be unexposed.
Wow.
Feels great.
They are comfortable. I have tried them. They are nice. Now, when you shop, you can shop. Here they have them. Okay. So you can go out there. I put the link on our show. You'll see the link down below in our show. So they have the boxers. And so you have 3 generations, right?
Well, right now, the 3rd generation's in production right now. They'll be done in 1 week. It'll take 9 days to clear customs. But I'll have those on within the month for sure.
Very cool.
Generation 3.
Yes. So you got a cotton blend and a poly blend.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
And we got golf shirts, T-shirts.
Now let's just say, let's do this. I want to show them. If I say I want these, right? All right. Let's just say I add them to my cart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what if I say buy it now? Of course, because I'm pretty petite, so I'll wear the small.
That's you.
So I go to my cart. Now look right here. Once you do all your rigmarole over here for your order, then you want to come over here to the discount code, and you want to put all lowercase. You put in hammer away, all together like that.
Yep.
And you get what?
You're gonna get 20% off.
20% off your entire order.
Hit apply.
Right.
That works without putting any credentials in. You might have to put credentials in.
There it is. Nope, it worked.
Yeah. So you're
That's
getting a
what it
pair
looks
of
like.
undies for less than $18.50.
Yeah, and they are nice. You're gonna like it.
They're actually,
It is.
if you buy a shirt, I got a BOGO sale. If you buy a shirt, you get a pair of underwear for less than $11.50. They're 50%
Shut
off.
your mouth.
Where's the hole in the flap on the shirt?
In the belly button.
A flap
Duh.
on a shirt. You know what we're gonna do next is free nippy
There we go.
for the women.
But I like
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah. All this is fun.
So yeah, so when did you start that? When did you start up officially then, bro?
It started I want to say August, or I think it was April of 2018 when I officially, became a business, retail business, right? Online sale, e-commerce. But we didn't launch until the October of last year.
So let's see if I can I'll probably see if I can just mute this. It'll kind of give you the idea. So there's Mike. You gotta love where they for crying out loud. There we go. Merry Christmas, Free Willy.
Yeah, man. You didn't mute it. So yeah, that's YouTube, right? So I'm really working, guys.
I know, dude. That's what it's about. Well, that's awesome.
So May 1st, we got a big deal going with Bitter Pill.
Yeah, tell me about that.
So May 1st, Bitter Pill, after a 1-year hiatus, right? They're going to be playing Diamond Music Hall from 8 to midnight. Katie Cruz is going to do she's going to MC, not the night, but she's going to MC the Free Willy thing, right? So this Free Willy thing, I'm going to go around, for between 8 and 9, I'm going to be passing out these cards. I'm going to have some raffle, whatever, carnival thing. You put your name on it, and put it in a hat, right? And four lucky contestants will have a chance to put on a Frozen shirt. The first one to put on a Frozen T-shirt, it's a $25 bar tab. All right, but we got to draw your name, right? And what we're going to do is, so Friday, I'll go up there with Topher and maybe Johnny, and we'll spray these down, just mist them, right? Stick them in the freezer. And then right when, we draw the names, we'll pull them out. These guys are going to put, guys, gals, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? Whoever draw their name. And they race to put the shirt on. They get to keep the shirt. We're the first one to put it on, though. These are going to be like cardboard, right? And then they get the bar tab. So we're gonna have a lot of fun with this. It's a promotional night, and then we'll have giveaways, pens, and stickers, all kinds of stuff.
Cool. And give me the date again on that.
Summertime.
Say that again.
Give me the date on that again.
So that's May 1st. That's
May 1st. Okay.
May 1st. It's coming up, and that will be at 9 a.m. or 9 a.m. That'll be 9 p.m. But the show starts at 8. So between 8 and 9, I'll be walking around and doing that promotion. I'm really excited.
Very cool. Well, I probably shouldn't talk about that. But anyway, so that'll be awesome. Man. All right. May 1st, Diamond Music Hall, 9 p.m. And Katie Cruz will be there running starting it off with the promotion for Free Willy. Get on out there and see if you can get your name chosen to put on that Frozen Free Willy shirt.
And just a disclaimer here, right? They could put the shirt on over the shirt. We're not doing a wet T-shirt contest. Just to be clear.
Dang, I was looking forward to seeing you in that shirt wet, Mike.
Right.
Fun, folks.
Dang. So Mike, you've been in bands for how many years here in the St. Louis area?
I got my first set at 9, so a long time. It didn't take long to get out, but I think it was 91 when I started playing out. It like Metal's Edge and band bars like that and stuff. stages around 91. So a long time, but I was in Bitter Pill for 15 years, and that's long time for that band. Yeah. And they're doing great. Love the guys. Love all of them.
That's great.
That is cool. Well, I know I had such a great time jamming with you. We both had it was the mutual thing, that we just loved jamming together out there at Diamond Music Hall. And how that kind of got started was with Guy. Guy was out at the Diamond Music Hall. We have a mutual friend out there. His name is Johnny Cruz. And he and a couple other guys, Topher is one of the other gentlemen that's out there. And then it's Darren. Darren
or Daryl. I've not met the man, but yes, there's a third guy.
I met him a couple of times, and I'm so sorry that it's slipping my brain. But anyway, it used to be a more of a kind of a billiards hall and things like that, a club where they had some bands and things happening. But then it changed hands, and now it's rocking and rolling. And Guy gave me a call one day and said, "Hey, they want to do an open jam band, and do you want to do that?" So we did. In the midst of the pandemic last year, we were rocking out, being strong and bold, and getting out there and rocking out, and it was really, really cool. We got something
called
really
pandemonium.
We could have. Damn it!
I didn't think of it.
Instead, what did you call it?
That's been my go-to place on Thursdays.
Yeah, people like going there for the open jam. It's a good time. It's a great setup. I mean, the stage is huge, and the sound system is fabulous. The sound man is wonderful.
Brian, yeah.
It's just like being in a concert hall and doing your thing. And you look great and you sound great, even if you don't play great. But it's all good.
They do have an awesome setup out there. I love this. I don't know if they do sell. I don't think they sell chicken. They do sell pizza, and they sell plenty of beer and drinks. I do know that. And they have an Iron Maiden pinball machine out there.
Oh, wow.
And they have Iron Maiden shots.
They do. They do. Isn't it the Power Slave shot?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but it's a great place to go. I mean, they've had Yngwie Malmsteen has been there. Quiet Riot was there right before Frankie Banali passed away. And they got they're really, one of the cool things is too, they've really done some cool decorations. They've gotten some posters in, and I'm talking about not just everybody's heard of. I mean, they have an Angel poster out there with the logo, and some Van Halen stuff out there. And, I probably ought to sell them some of my stuff. I got a crap ton of stuff that they would love to have out there.
But they would.
Some really cool collectible stuff. I didn't even think about that. Ha! Yeah, well, I guess I got a meeting next week. So, but yeah, Guy and I did that for a while, and then we had some other things to get to, and we stepped out for a bit here, but we still go back out there now and again and do the jam. And I'd love to go out there on Thursdays, but right now I've got the show. So, so Guy and I met when we moved and into our house, and we lived across the street from each other.
Yep.
And he'd be out there on his front porch playing guitar, and we became fast friends, and he knew me before I played.
Yes.
So, because I didn't play, and then he helped me go pick out that guitar, yeah, right there. So, so yeah, we lived across the street, and we'd talk music all the time. This is back in the day when Dream Theater was out with their first record with their first singer,
Images and
Charlie
Words.
Dominici. When Dream and Day Unite, and then it was 3 years later they would put out the next record, and Guy got it before I did, and I was like, wow, Charlie's really changed his vocals. And they were like, no, it's a whole new singer.
Changed everything.
They changed label, changed singer, and then soon after that they changed keyboard player too. So
right. Forgot about
but tonight I was going to ask Guy too. I know, Guy, you had speaking of our Billy Sheehan, who can't make it tonight, you had a meeting with him too, right? You've met him before?
Yeah. He came out to SLM Electronics, St. Louis Music's manufacturing division. We manufactured sonic reinforcement equipment, amplifiers, PA systems, whatnot. Crate came from there, among other things. And we eventually acquired Ampeg and brought that back to life from the dead. And he came out. He was an avid Ampeg user, and came out and did a meet and greet with everybody, a little seminar there, and a real nice guy to talk to. He signed one of my guitars for me. I have many people's signatures on there, and he is one of them. He was real friendly, real generous with his time. And it's nice to meet people like that are very down to earth and don't have any rectocranial disorders. Nice to find, because in show business, you run into all kinds.
Guy has many creative ways of saying asshole or any other thing.
I try to be relatively apolitically correct.
If you want a way to rip on somebody with them going, wait, what? And you get to walk away scot-free, just call Guy. He'll get you hooked up.
Consider me your words. I'll hook you up. That's right.
Oh man, yeah. JD is here. He's JD and I see a lot alike. And I can't remember though, JD, if there was a moment where you threw me a curveball recently, and I was like, wait a minute, really? But I can't remember. It might not have been you. It could have been Lance. Lance will throw me curveballs now and again, and I'm like, dude, I thought we were in the same boat. And then all of a sudden you jump ship and you were like in the boat next to me going, It just happens, man. It just happens. So, hey, you know what though? Before we go any further, and I know it's a little jumbly because again, didn't know I was going to do this. I start every show with a lightning round. Are you guys ready for a little lightning round?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll asking of you both.
Oh, sorry, I got a bolt. Thank you very much.
And so it begins, folks. So it begins. What was your first record that you acquired?
When I first got a full-size turntable, because I had a 45 turntable for years. My first full-size turntable, my parents got me 3 records to go with it. One was Moody Blues' Seventh Sojourn, great Moody Blues album.
Nice.
One was a band that covered a lot of Tijuana brass. And the other was my first Osibisa, their first record. Osibisa is a wonderful African rock group. It was in 1971. And I've been a fan of theirs, a devotee of theirs for many, many, many years. Well, all that time since. And they actually, the couple of members that are left from the band and a whole bunch of new members have a brand new record coming out sometime this year. And one of the guest musicians on it is Gus Isidore, who is Seal's guitar player. Wow. Who is also upside down left-handed player like I am, which Seal also is. First time I saw a video of them together, I thought there was something wrong with the video. I was like, they're both playing the way I do. And I was really surprised.
Wow. Yeah, it was while we were working at SLM. Guy and I ended up working at SLM. He helped me get in there. And that led to a lot of my cool rock and roll adventures, which we can talk about here in a little bit, because one of them had Guy in it. And what about you, Mike? What was your first record?
The first record that I bought with my own money was Kiss Alive. And that was, I remember seeing it to this day. I mean, the very distinct memory on this one. I'm thumbing through it and I saw it. I looked at it and I said, I've got to buy this. And this is my money, right? So I'm like, do I really want to spend this $6? I mean, and I did.
$6.
That was
a double record.
For a double record. And it was well spent. I was hooked.
I guess with my own money, either a Grand Funk or a Black Sabbath record. And my parents gave me some. I started buying some and I said, I had some money to spend. So yeah, it's probably the Grand Funk or Black Sabbath. That's right. Started really getting into it.
Yeah. Yeah. My first album was Kiss. I didn't have to buy it though. My brother, I've said it many times on the show. it was, it was just like Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg. It was just like that. My brother didn't want it and he gave it to me. So it was just like the Steel Dragon record on Rockstar, where he's like, yeah, because my brother hated it. I don't know that my brother hated it, but he didn't want it anymore. And that was not long after he had gotten it either. He was.
My brother's 7 years older than me. He had no interest in Kiss at that time. So but he was turning me on to bigger bands, Van Halen, Rush, all these other bands, and I was stuck on Kiss. Once I heard this, then I was like, oh, we've got more music than Kiss, and it opened up.
Well,
man!
I remember when there wasn't a Van Halen or a Rush or a Kiss. So sorry, I'm really old.
He is really old.
I am.
No, yeah, he
electric
is.
Guitars were their gas powered phase when I was a kid.
What was your first concert that you like? I had a couple of concerts that I went to. I saw Cheap Trick and Jay Ferguson at the State Fair up in Peoria. But what was that first show that you went to?
Mike, go ahead and take this one first.
My first outdoor show was a Super Jam.
I remember those.
But the first indoor show was April Wine.
Wow,
they're a great band live.
They blew me away.
My first,
I think Eddie Money opened up for them, and I want to say Tesla opened up for Eddie Money.
Wow,
no, that can't be.
I think at that time it was. I think it was 80
because they weren't even out until when was that?
Yeah, maybe it wasn't. It was early. It was like 81 or 2 or something.
Yeah, I would say 81 because that was the Nature of the Beast album, and the first Tesla hit in 86.
Okay, then it wasn't Tesla.
85, 86. But I would love to know who it was, though. I mean, I know Christine went to a Super Jam and I always bring it up because I was really jealous that she got to see Rainbow with Joe Lynn Turner.
Nice.
Yeah, see, the Super Jam I went to may have been one of the last ones. It was like 707, Loverboy, none of the stuff. I mean, none of the cool stuff that like my brother had seen earlier, like Journey and all the, REO and stuff.
I saw Judas Priest, their first U.S. gig was at the Super Jam. That's before I discovered black leather. They're all wearing all kinds of great colored satins and huge boots and stuff like that. But the first concert I went to was a wonderful, wonderful, marvelous, progressive fusion rock group from Holland called Focus, and I was absolutely blown away.
Wow.
And I have to plug my phone in. It just told me I have a low battery, so this is liable to throw my image all askew here. Excuse me a second.
Well, let me see what I've got else. What else I have here? Let's see.
We'll go.
Okay. I got to think of. I'm going to do this on the fly. Okay. I'm trying to think of two like major songs that are classic.
The minor ones myself.
Well, shoot, I don't know. Okay, maybe I'll skip that one. I don't know. I need time on that. Would you rather do laundry or dishes?
What kind of question is that?
No, that's a question. Serious? I'm serious as shit.
Laundry.
Laundry?
Because a dishwasher does the dishes.
I've never had a dishwasher that worked. I've always been my own dishwasher.
And which would you rather do, laundry or dishes?
Wow. I do them both a lot. Well, right now I'll say dishes because I have to do the stairs. But
there you go. There's a reason. There's always a reason.
There's no stairs in my kitchen, so that's all good.
Okay, here you go. Worst equipment fail.
Oh, boy.
On stage.
I've had a few. I've had about every kind of equipment failure you can have. I mean, from a pedal crapping out to a chord dying to string breakage in the middle of a song to a guitar actually going out, amps blowing up. I've had it all. So I don't know what would be the worst. They're all brutal.
So pick one. Wait, you got to tell Mike and our millions of viewers out there, you have to tell them the story of the 100-foot mic cable.
I was just telling that today, as a matter of fact, at rehearsal.
Guy has at least 2. I think there might be 3 stories.
Oh,
There is 3 stories that you have that always stick in my head, and this is one of them.
Years ago, I was in this great band called Zero Discipline. It was so much fun. I pretty much put the band together myself from people that worked at St. Louis Music with me when I first started there, and a good friend of mine from outside the company named Greg Lundius, wonderful bass player, been my brother forever, who just recently retired from music. But we had this really, really good band. It was one of those bands we just never had a bad night. I mean, even if we were having a rough night, the band sounded great. And we used to play a venue down in the city, down the Cleves Landing, St. Louis, called the All-American Saloon. Pretty much a fight a night guaranteed or your money back. I mean, there were bar stools flying, all kinds of stuff. It was just a crazy place. I had this 100-foot mic cable that I would use. And being a lead singer, I played guitar just part of the time. We had a super hot shot guitar player, Pat Shook.
Yep.
I let him cover the major stuff because he was all good with the Van Halen tapping and the whammy bar tricks and all that good stuff. And I'm old school. I wasn't on that. So I let him cover 99% of the heavy guitar stuff, and I back him up on a few things and play a couple solos. But mostly I was a front guy. And I'd go out there way off the stage, walking around the place, singing at people. And then when I'd walk back up on the stage, I'd just snap the cable, and it would just come right up behind me like a snake, like a whip, just following me. And one night, I snapped that cable, and it whipped right under some guy's feet and caught his ankles and literally flipped him over. I thought, sure, I was going to get my old ass beat. I was the end of the, I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry. He says, dude, that was the coolest thing ever. That was fucking awesome, you know? So I was like, okay, I saved my ass there. It could have been really brutal. I might not be here today if that guy hadn't been so good about it.
One of my other favorites, and you're not alone in this because I've heard other people talk about this, is when the time you went to an audition as a guitar player.
We were just talking about this the other day too, because I played with those people just a couple weeks ago.
Without a guitar.
Yeah, I had an audition to be a guitar player for a band, and I get there and I realized I hadn't brought my guitar. I was like, oh my God, brought every other piece of gear I owned, and I left my guitar at home.
And that wasn't like 3 years ago. That was like,
that was, well, neither was the All-American Saloon. That was back in the 80s.
No.
That was a cool place.
What I'm saying is,
this was back in right when Joe was born, because one of the first gigs I did with this band was the first time we let Joe stay with a babysitter. So that was, 30 years ago. Yeah, 35, 36 years ago. And
So what I'm
Dave Ryan picked me up for the audition because it was a band he was playing with. And Dave's a fabulous bass player, and he picked me up and all my gear, and we went out to this way out in Illinois. And well, to me, it was way out. Now it's no big deal because I'm in Illinois all the time now. But I get there and we're unloading my gear, and I'm like, "Did you bring in my guitar?" He says, "No." I'm looking at him. We went back in his van and said, "I didn't bring my guitar." I just could not believe I left my guitar sitting right there by my door at the apartment. What a dumbass. Fortunately, the gal who was the keyboard player and singer in the band, her husband played guitar in bands, so I got to use his, and I passed the audition.
Now that's when you know you're kick ass.
Yeah.
I left my shit and I still got in.
How often does that happen?
I have to ask Mike, did you ever forget your drum kit?
I have forgotten things, right? I definitely, but much like Guy, I've had cymbals fall down and that. But there was one gig really sticks out when we were opening up for a band at Stages, and I wasn't using my drum set, right? I was using the kit, whatever, and so the bass pedal, there was so much tape on this batter head that the bass pedal mallet stuck to it. And I'm jumping up and down, and the guys are looking at me like, "Man, I thought you were better," and I'm just kicking it. Well, guess what? He did have a double pedal, so I had to play the gig. The rest of the song left foot. Wow. And at the time, I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared for that. So that was probably
most drummers wouldn't be.
That was equipment failure, not mine.
Wow.
That's not on me.
Yeah.
Right.
I have plenty of my own failures. I brain fart lyrics all the time. What are you gonna do?
Oh man. Okay, here's one. There's our last one. Is there a specific recording? No. Sorry. Hold on. Is there an album that you would say is great? Just the first album that pops in your head that you would think is great front to back?
Wow. I have so many.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Well, just the first one that pops in your head. It doesn't mean that it's your favorite. It's the best. It just means what's the first one that pops in your head?
Boston.
That is a fabulous.
Boston's
that
first album?
That's fabulous.
I mean, that's it, because it's just not every single song.
Yeah, for me,
Cool.
I'm going to say probably Frank Marino, Mahogany Rush 4. It was a masterpiece of engineering. Frank Marino was 24 years old at the time. He engineered the whole thing himself, and he's just a sonic wizard. The man knows what he's doing, and I mean, besides writing beautiful music, playing wonderfully. I mean, his technical abilities surpassed so many. And he just knew how to get great sound in the studio, and he does it live too.
Yeah.
And besides that, he's a hell of a nice guy. He's just one of those guys that is really cool. Very down to earth.
Well, he's
cool.
Yeah, he's somebody, if I had his number right now, I would have called him at the last minute here to see if he could be on the show.
And you know he'd probably do it.
I know.
He's that
So
kind of guy.
I'm gonna work with you on getting that.
We'll see what we can do.
And then we'll both be on the show.
Good.
But yeah, I always think of because here's kind of the way there's two things that come to mind, and Queensryche Operation Mindcrime is one of those records to me.
Absolutely.
And I always, there's two stories that I always think of. Being at SLM, I literally did this at SLM when you and I were working together. I brought Operation Mindcrime and I listened to it all day, over and over and over. I just the whole shift. I just listened to that record over and over. I just let it run. So the other story, that's one part, but then the other story that I have is me having a discussion with a buddy of mine when we worked together at a trophy company. And he was adamant. We were talking Ozzy, and he's like, yeah, like Bark at the Moon's a great record. And I immediately did my thing. I'm a dick. And I looked at him and I go, no, it is not.
No, it is not.
And he goes, yes, it is. I go, it is not. It is not. It has great songs.
Yeah.
But it is not a great album. Yeah. And he goes, yeah, it is. I go, okay. So every time you put on the record, it's a great record. I know it's a great record. Just give me a second. Every time you put it on, you can't wait to hear So Tired. And he goes, well, that sucks. I go, right. So it's not a great record.
Right.
Front to back, it's a great record. Front to, ooh, that's shitty. Let's not do that. That's not a great record. If you can listen to it at work every day, over and over till the end of your shift.
And Operation Mindcrime was one of them.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Yep. And I did it with Camelot's album Epica too. I did that once. Because that's scary to think it came out that long ago, but it did.
I saw Queensryche when they did that Operation Mindcrime in its entirety.
Oh yeah,
that was a great show.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yes,
Jeff Tate's vocals held up so well all the time live, and the band was sensational, just fantastic. Still are. I mean,
I remember I got the box set for my birthday. There was what was that record store? There was one up north.
Talk about Street Side Records.
At Street Side Records
or Peaches.
No, it wasn't Peaches.
Was already gone by the time Queensryche came out.
Street Side, was that?
They have was there one up? And they had one in Creve Coeur, and they were all over St. Louis. They're all over.
Yeah, this one was it was at that that shopping mall that's up there by Walmart. That's up in North County there off of 270
in West Florissant.
Yeah.
Um,
Music Vision.
Music Vision.
Oh, okay.
That was it. Because there was one right over here on Olive too. Now I think it's a Firehouse Subs. So, but anyway, they had it there and they held it for me. I said, I'm coming in. It's my birthday. I'm going to pick it up for my birthday. And they wrote a note on it that says happy birthday. I was like, oh, that's real sweet of you guys.
I remember discovering the record exchange, where you could find old and used stuff.
Yeah.
And when I found that place, I was just, whoa. I mean, now there's several of them, but the first one I found was it on the Rock Road? It might have been on St. Charles Rock Road. I can't remember. But anyway, I went in there, and the first time I went in there, I found Glenn Hughes's 1976 solo album, which I didn't even know existed, because he had been totally off the grid, out of the music thing for a number of years with his cocaine addiction and problems like that he was dealing with.
Yeah.
And I didn't know he had put out this album right after the Deep Purple thing, right after he did the Trapeze reunion tour that I saw. He put out this solo record with guys from Trapeze. He had Pat Travers on there, all kinds of people playing with him. And it was just just a wonderful, funky, soulful record.
He was still in Deep Purple in '76, wasn't he?
Well, it was at the end of '76. It was like because Deep Purple broke up right then because Tommy Bolin died. They finished their tour with him, and then Tommy Bolin was doing his solo tour, and he died or OD'd, and Deep Purple just went their separate ways. That was it. They were pretty much done by the time they finished with Tommy Bolin anyway. It was just.
And Rainbow came out.
Oh, Rainbow was already out. Yeah, Rainbow came out right about the time, right before Tommy Bolin got with Deep Purple. Richie had the first Rainbow album out because we heard David Coverdale, Ronnie James Dio. They had Man on the Silver Mountain, and that was just everywhere. You heard it everywhere. And then Come Taste the Band came out. Didn't get a lot of fanfare. People didn't know who Tommy Bolin was, but I bought it right away, and I was knocked out. Just some fabulous stuff on there. I actually heard my favorite tune on that record in the middle of the night on Keishi, with my headphones on, had this beautiful George Gershwin-esque piano part, and then Glenn Hughes' vocals coming in. It was a song called Ode to G, which went into an instrumental called, it was called This Time Around, going into Ode to G. And Tommy Bolin co-wrote the instrumental part, and it was just a fabulous double piece of music there. Really, really well done. That's off. Very good stuff.
Now, here's a question. How about a funny malfunction incident you witnessed as an audience member at a concert?
I've seen some of the gods hit bad notes, which is pretty awesome to say. They're just as human as I am, I've seen Steve Howe from Yes on top of a pedestal in the center when they were in the round, the Checkerdome, and they're doing Heart of the Sunrise. And you got that riff that goes, and it goes, he forgot to go, he's still going, and the rest of the band's going, he stopped and laughed. He got into the right part. It was just beautiful. And I actually saw Chris Squire from Yes hit one wrong note one time. I couldn't believe it. He may hit a lot, but I only heard one. I was in the front row, and I was just really surprised to hear it come out of his bass. I was like, holy cow, that's Chris Squire, and he just hit a hog. I couldn't believe it was happening.
He found,
it's equipment failures, things like that, and it's always sad because it bums out the. I've seen Randy Rhoads came here the second time when Ozzy was dealing with having had the shots for the rabies.
Yeah.
Randy was having all kinds of equipment problems, and I felt bad for him because he'd hit his guitar and nothing would come out, and the roadies were just jacking with everything trying to get it going. So he had a rough night that night, but they sounded great when you could hear him. When he was playing his ass off. And Frank Marino, one time, was the last concert at the Ambassador Theater. I had 21st row. They had the mixing board in 21st row, so they put me in the 7th row, which is just a few feet from the stage. It was fantastic because there's nothing between the stage and the first row. So I was right in front of Frank the whole night. His equipment was having issues, so part of the night they had him plugged into Paul Harwood, the bass player's gear. They were like splitting stuff, and then they finally got his stuff working too. But it was a great show. They had him mixed in stereo live there across the stage, so all the great sounds that he would get on record were just waving across the whole theater. It was fantastic, just amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. So even with equipment problems, he was still tearing it up and making it happen.
Equipment problems. I don't remember too much of that. I've heard it, but what stands out? I saw Deep Purple open up. I can't think of who they opened up, but the bass player was right in the center of the stage. he was arguing with somebody out in the audience, and it was just a thumbs down. What are you doing here? You know, you're in St. Louis, and it's just like, I mean, it's like he stopped playing. He's yelling at. I mean, it's like this happened, and I'm thinking, but they kept playing after that. I was like, that kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. You know what I mean?
Somebody throwing something on the stage,
yeah,
or something.
I don't recall anybody throwing anything. That could have happened.
There used to be a lot of that. I saw Ozzy got hit in the head with a frisbee.
Yeah,
he walked off the stage. Yeah.
Who did?
Ozzy at the Black Sabbath in '78 when Van Halen opened for him. Somebody hit Ozzy from like the balcony with a frisbee, and you know that's got to hurt like hell. It knocked his head back. And he just put his hand up and just walked off the stage. You know, and almost shot the show right there. I didn't blame him. I'd have been pissed too.
I'm gonna see if I can find this out there. I have it. Oh my gosh, they have. Oh, come on. It looks like on YouTube they have both. They have. I'll put both of these links out here in the chat so people can check it out. But when Iron Maiden they used to put out all their EPs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And on one of them, it's for the 2 minutes to midnight single. They'd put them out on the, large vinyl, and they would have extra songs and stuff on them.
That's cool.
Well, on the one for 2 minutes to midnight, there's a track on there called Mission from Airy. And it's an argument, a beautiful, beautiful debate between, and maybe I should say it's a delectable debate, because that's how Guy is. He'd come up with something like that. Delectable debate. Deliciously delectable debate. I'm going too far, aren't I? Anyway, what I know I'm turning you on.
Very a little excited.
So anyway, it's this awesome debate between Steve Harris and Nico McBrain, and it's called.
You played that for me.
It's called Mission from Airy because Nico was doing his drum solo, and one of the roadies was on a mission from Airy to tell him that his bass was fucked. And so then he's as Nico says in it, he's standing a yard or 2 yards behind my drum riser going, and I'm like, what? And he's, and I'm like, what? And by the time I got what he's fucking trying to tell me, I totally fucked. So I loved it. And you're gonna love it, Mike. That's who's gonna dig this. But here's the link for the actual. You can check it out there on YouTube. But then I just saw that there's a video where Steve Harris is describing it.
Oh, wow.
I guess he's talking about it. And I'm like, what? I gotta watch that. That was, I've been dying to listen to that lately. It's funny, but I'm like, I just want to listen to it. So there's, I think that'll lead you to the one with Steve Harris talking about it. What a link. Look at that.
Yeah.
That needs Free Willy. It's so long.
It needs a flap.
Wow. Needs a flap on that one.
With a flap.
Don't worry. It's a link. And if it's up there, it's okay. It's all right. So yeah, I think one of the, I haven't seen that I remember equipment issues but I have heard bands, like you said, Guy, I have heard bands hit some nasty notes. Now, the one thing I will mention is we all should understand that on certain records that we grew up listening to or that we've listened to in our lifetime, bands sometimes don't play them the same on stage. And why? Because they didn't record them.
Often that is the case, or they're just tired of playing it the same way. But yeah, that's sometimes the case. They got different people in the studio doing some of the parts so they can get the record done. And because they know bands in there, there's stuff going on in the band. Sometimes the guys don't have their parts quite ready to do the recording, and the record company's like, let's do this. There are so many hot studio musicians out there on either coast and in between and in Europe and whatnot that do so many parts that you hear on records that you think are the actual stars doing them that aren't there. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I one of the only times that I really saw, and again, it wasn't like an equipment failure, but I did, and I felt really badly for him because it's happened to me in my little gigs that I've played here in town. Where you stumble or something. And Sebastian Bach was kicking ass opening up at one of the Poison shows. And he went to get up on one of the monitors in the front at Riverport and caught his toe because he's a tall dude.
Yeah.
He's got long legs. And he's like you, Mike, tall dude and handsome. And he just went to put his foot up on there, caught the toe, and and he went forward. And I was like, damn it.
He's not as cool.
So Mike Kloschuk did actually get me backstage though, to meet him after that incident. And we talked for a little bit and we got to talking comic books, and he loves comic books. He's got a vault in which he keeps comics.
Wow.
And we got talking about Fantastic Four. And we were laughing and joking. And as I left, Mike goes, that is the happiest I've seen him all day. And I'm like, oh, cool. Glad I can help.
You found the right formula there. Yeah.
JD says, I saw Spinal Tap break like the Wind tour. All gags staged, but hilarious.
That's great.
I was just looking at it. Don't even look at it.
Try.
What else were we? Oh, and JD saw Mindcrime tour, Queensryche Open for Metallica. Dude, I was there too, man. Peoria, Illinois. I was supposed to meet Queensryche after the show, and I got screwed by security. They're like, these are good after the show. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. And he goes, I don't know, man. That's just when they're good. I came back at the end of the show. They're like, no, they did that between shows. I'm like, son of a bitch. So that really pissed me off. But he was a funny one. And I love Vixen, right? And I don't mean anything by this. And they would agree. I mean, I know that they would agree. They were on their tour for their first record, with Edge of a Broken Heart, and other great songs are on that record. Even Vivian Campbell makes an appearance on that record. And
that's because his name was Vivian. I thought he was one of the girls. Shame on me. I like Vivian Campbell. I'm just being a dick.
Hi, welcome to the part in the show where we realize you're wrong for that. Thank you. So you are wrong for that. But I was backstage hanging out with the girls. They had just gotten done with. They actually had a dinner, so we were there during that time. And then one of the roadies is walking by me, and I've still got it upstairs. And this summer I'll be dropping some of the so I can put it back on. I've got my Queensryche Metallica shirt from that tour.
Oh.
And this roadie walks by me, he goes, hey man, great shirt. And I go, yeah. And he goes, I'll trade you a Vixen shirt for it. I'm like, yeah, no. No.
Good thing the girls didn't hear that. They might have thrown their supper at you. You don't want a Vixen shirt?
I get that at home, so I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I understand.
So he also says he also saw one of the last shows before Jeff Tate left Queensryche. It was a weird show, he says. It's the M3 Rock Fest in Maryland. Yeah. Very contentious. JD, thank you for continuing to rise to the intellectual side of our show tonight.
The last album they did with Jeff Tate was very different. I mean, it had a lot of mellow stuff on it. I mean, I thought too much mellow stuff for one record. It just
on which one?
The last one that they did with Tate.
Oh,
I don't remember the name, but I've got it. But I was just kind of
I do.
It was well recorded, well performed.
Promised Land, right?
Was that or was it after that? I just don't remember. I just remember it didn't have the edginess. The edge was gone because there was nothing really heavy, hard rock on there. It was all mellow stuff. But that was part of the difference in the band and him at that point,
Yeah, because at that point they did Operation Mindcrime, and then I'm sorry. Well, wasn't the last record that he did with them Operation Mindcrime 2?
Yeah, I think so. But there was another album after that
with the Soldiers' Boots.
That might be the one. I don't
Yeah.
recall. I don't recall. It's
And
been a while
I
since
should know this right off the top of my head, but I really, like you just said, Guy, I really lost interest, and I just was done after Promised Land personally. They did Operation Mindcrime, Empire, brilliant. Empire, that's the tour that I saw, and it was an amazing tour, and the album was great. And then they did Promised Land, and I was just like, are you serious with me right now? And then DeGarmo left, and
that was a big change right there when DeGarmo left. And then they did the Q2K album, which had a very different production feel to it. The guitars sounded rawer, be more raw, a little raunchier. They weren't as tight and concise sounding. It was different, like they're playing through different amps or something, which they might have been. But it was just, they always had a certain sound, a certain punch, a certain kick to the guitars. And this had a lot more of like having a fuzz pedal through a tube amp sound, where it kind of gets a little bit flubby, a little bit, it was that, because I listened to it really closely with headphones. And even though the playing was fantastic, it was just like, it wasn't that tight, concise guitar thing that they had before. It was different.
Do you remember the EP that they came out with, the Lady Wore Black?
Yeah, that was the first recording.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was hooked.
Oh,
I was hooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first thing I owned by them, Christine and I were dating, and let me get this out of the way before I forget it. The last album of theirs I really liked I did enjoy it. I don't know if anybody else did, but there was some good songs on it. Was Here in the Now Frontier.
Yeah,
that was with the kind of the, funky album cover that was why can't I say the artist's name? Inspired by the the drooping clock and
Dolly,
Salvador Dali,
it was
who did a photo session with Alice Cooper. What?
It was their homage to Hello Dolly. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Over the years in bands with Guy, he will pull these jokes, and we're all like, "Who made Guy contact?
Yeah, exactly.
Who looked him in the eye and made Guy contact?"
Yeah. I try to deliver at least one groaner every night. My job.
But Christine and I were dating. We went up to Michigan to visit some of her relatives, and we went to a mall. And at the record store, they had a bin. You know me, I'm cheap. I always look for the cool bins of records that are cheap. And here was The Warning.
What a great
on
record.
vinyl.
Oh my
and
God.
I bought it for the album cover.
Oh yeah, it's a great album cover.
And the album was brilliant. You used to perform. What was the song up there?
Take Hold of the Flame.
Take Hold of the Flame.
That was my warm-up song in the car. If I could get through all of that, then I was good for the night.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, I'm good.
Wonderful record.
Mike, did you get into Queensryche? Did you get into him with that first EP, or did you learn about it later?
I got into it with that first EP, and when The Warning came out, I want to say, that Stages gig where the pedal got stuck.
Mm-hmm.
I shit you not. If it wasn't that song, we were doing Take Hold of the Flame. I was in a band called Sister Crank, and we were opening up for Machine Gun Kelly.
I remember Machine Gun Kelly.
Wow, really?
Yeah, so we were Sister Crank opening up. We were doing like Dream Theater. We were doing Pull Me Under and all that stuff.
Wow.
We were doing Take Hold of Flame, and I think it was either that song or one around there, and the pedal got stuck. So I just had to say that. Yes, The Warning.
That's great. That is awesome. I saw Rush make a mistake once. Just kidding.
So you need to have that one recorded.
That was another one of my questions that I've used a couple of times too. That what do you feel is the peak of a certain band's career? Like we mentioned, Rush is a big one. What would you two guys say is the peak of Rush's career?
Everything they did was pretty sensational. They evolved so smoothly.
Yeah.
Every transition they made with the time that was happening when they were recording certain things, they did very well. Some things weren't as popular with the marketplace or the radio or whatever, but it's like they were doing what they wanted to do, and that's something they always did, and I admire them immensely for that.
Yeah,
They didn't let the radio and the record companies dictate what they did. They wanted to please their people, but they wanted to put out what they wanted to put out, and they always did that very well. As far as a peak, I'm going to have to say, for me, just because it's like my favorite album by them, it was probably Farewell to Kings. That was just, it was when they first introduced some synthesizer in there. It was minimal, but the album was just so incredibly well written. Like 2112, that's the one that came out right after 2112. It was so incredibly well written, so incredibly well put together. Had, you know, another epic piece on it, and that was just a real high point for me in Rush. I like all their stuff, but Farewell to Kings has just got some magic moments in it for me.
So Stu, is it the peak of their status, or what I would think would be the best?
Well, I would just go with, in order for it to be honest and, if you want, give me both. Give me what you feel you personally think is that point, that album at that point where you're like, that's when everything's on fire. So, because I'll just tell you right now that JD and I agree. No, I want to make sure I say something. I have not seen this. I want to let you guys know about this. Let the Music Play documentary is streaming right now. And he told me about this the other day, and I have not watched it because I've been a busy MF. And I want to, but I would love to watch it this weekend. Thank you for re-mentioning that. I'm gonna put that down and watch it. But I do agree. I agree with JD. I think Moving Pictures, but go ahead, Mike.
I want to say Moving Pictures. I think Moving Pictures was where they just that's where Neil Peart decided to kind of lay low and not, talk to people, you know what I'm saying, do interviews and so much with the fans and that interaction. But Permanent Waves was for me what, like Farewell to Kings, my brother had that, but I was still in the other, music at that time. So, but Permanent Waves came out, that was another one for me that hit my core.
Have you seen that new video that they put out, which goes through the history of the band for Spirit of the Radio?
I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
Oh, dude, it's animated. It's so cool. And at the end, they dedicate it to Neil Peart.
That's very cool. That's very cool.
So it's beautiful. You guys are going to love it. It may make you cry. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, and it's just so well done. It goes through their career, even like with DJs and the radio stations that played them getting started. It's brilliant. It's really, really cool. I'm going to tell you to just check that out straight away. But yeah, I thought Moving Pictures is the peak of their career. My favorite record is A Farewell to Kings. And without me saying anything, my son said that the other day when we were visiting. He said, I always thought that was their best album. And I go, I do too. Just because of all the things that it has, and it resonates with my brain. And I just loved all the places that it went, and the multiple long tracks. Just great. Really held me, and I really, really got into it. But I do think Moving Pictures was, unfortunately, I was very blessed to see them on that tour up at Alpine Valley, and Joe Perry opened up. The Joe Perry Project opened that show.
Yeah, I didn't see that tour. The last tour I saw him on was Signals. Max Webster opened for him, and I was totally unfamiliar with Max Webster, except that they just released the song with Rush on it, Battle Scar.
Yes.
That's the only thing I'd ever heard, and I was blown away, man. Max Webster was phenomenal. Oh, my God. Just incredible.
Yeah. If you guys haven't checked out Max Webster, or if you only know of Max Webster because of Battle Scar that he did with the guys in Rush, check out Max Webster. They are amazing. It's Kim Mitchell, who had the song Might As Well Go for a Soda.
Yeah.
But I mean, the albums are great, especially if you're going to start anywhere. And if you think you want to just get one album, Universal Juveniles.
Oh yeah.
boom. It's that. If we're talking about Rush's peak album, that could be Max Webster's peak album.
It's like a quintessential album. It really gives you
it really is
intensity.
And it's so diverse in the music that's on it. It's just awesome.
It's kind of like
Edge of a Broken Heart, JD. I don't who wrote it.
Brings it, you know.
I tell me who wrote it. I mean, I could look it up, but I don't want to do that to you.
Who wrote what?
Because I don't remember. It's not written by. Wait, I'm going to take a guess. Is it Richard Marx?
What are we talking about?
He wrote Edge of a Broken Heart by Vixen. Is written by. Was I right? He said, "Oh, was I right? Is it or not?" Because I know that Richard Marx. They had multiple producers on that Vixen record. Yeah, it was Richard Marx. Damn. All right.
Good guess.
That's pretty good.
Woo, stumped the trump. Thought Empire was. No, Empire wasn't the last one with. That's what you're trying to say, JD? Checked out after Empire. Yeah, and I would suggest at least listening to Here in the Now Frontier. I thought it had some good stuff on it. You know, been lurking. This is our buddy Papa Pete from Canada or Canada. So we're talking Canadian music, Pete. So what did he say? Wait, what was it? Let's see. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you being here, man. Pete he's aces, man. He's awesome. He sent me some Atari games.
Cool.
Loved it. So, and here you go, Pete. This is Guy. Guy supplied me with my Atari system.
The old Atari.
Let's see. What does this one say? Farewell. That was yours too. Yeah, right. Yeah, that was my favorite album. Permanent Waves. Yes, too. So everybody's digging our choices. Everybody's digging this. Knew about Max Webster via the Rush biography Visions.
Oh, very cool.
I think. Cool. I just got that movie. What's the name of it? It's not All the World's a Stage, is it? It's not that. Why can't I think of the name of the documentary they just put out not long ago?
I've got about 4 or 5 of those. Addicting. I can't think of what.
This is the one where it's kind of it's kind of a golden hue over everything. You know, it's the photo Beyond the Lighted Stage. Thank you, JD. I can always count on you. They have it really cheap right now on Amazon. You know, I pulled up Amazon tonight in case there was anything we wanted to look up. I do that quite often. Rush Beyond. I bought it on Blu-ray for like $10 or something.
Wow.
On Amazon.
Back to their grade school and everything, isn't it?
Yep. They go back to their old town.
You tackled me to the ground. I loved it.
Yeah. It looks like it's $17. I must have gotten it cheap that day. I don't know what happened, but it's still not too bad. I mean, it was streaming for a while. It may still be streaming. Yeah, it is amazing. It is amazing. It is. The same guy who did the Iron Maiden movie, Flight 666. Thanks for mentioning that. Yeah. Let me see what else is there. Yeah. But definitely check out Max Webster. It's such good stuff. You know, Billy couldn't be with us tonight, but I told Guy that, you know, I did want to talk about Billy a little bit. Guy mentioned when he'd met him. I've met him a few times. And Mike, have you ever had a chance to meet Billy?
I have not, but I'd love to see them with you know, him and the Winery Dogs or anything he's done. But
yes. Well, if we can work it out, I'll make sure that someday you should meet him. He is one of the best people, musicians, and you know, because that's what this show is about. It's about music and the human experience. So
absolutely.
When you start talking about, you know, people being people and being cool, you know, Billy's right at the top of that list. I mean, he is very down to earth. One of the most down to earth people I've ever met. But I told Guy, I said, there's some things that I wanted to talk about and show on the show. First off, I'll show you the first time I ever met him was down at Mississippi Nights, which, son of a bitch. Mississippi Nights. And the thing about that is that they're actually putting a book together about Mississippi Nights.
I heard a rumor
some local
about
folks are put, and for those of you, for our millions of viewers out there who don't know what Mississippi Nights is, there was a club down by the Arch. So, St. Louis, the Arch.
Well, down by the
We
river
still
where
have
I
one.
shot my baby.
Where I live in a van down by the river. Now I want to grab my glasses and go, who's that? Who's that over there? Is that Bill Shakespeare? Is that Bill Shakespeare? I think he's been using his papers instead of writing. He's been rolling doobies.
Get off my lawn, you goddamn hippies.
So anyway, it was a great, great club. And I mean, I didn't show up in St. Louis to go there and do things until 1988. One of my favorite stories is one of our newest employees at our school, very charming PE instructor at our school, very sweet gal. And I was walking down the hall when she first started there, and I said, "So have you always been here in St. Louis?" She said, "Yeah." And she goes, "How about you?" And I said, "Well, no, I moved down here when I got married in '88." And she goes, "I was born in '88." And I'm like, "You can keep walking."
Yeah, right.
Keep going.
PE,
So Mississippi Nights.
Sorry.
So Mississippi Nights was a club. It's one of those places it's not got a huge high ceiling. It's had great bands in it though. Everybody from who's somebody that you guys saw at Mississippi
I saw
Nights?
Dream Theater there.
Wow.
That's what I must have been at the same show.
Words. I saw them there. I mean,
Yes.
Yes.
The Mississippi Nights. Yeah.
I saw Pantera there. I saw Kansas there.
I've seen Eric Johnson there. I've seen Jeff Healy there. I've seen Uli John Roth from literally 8 feet away from him. I was right on the edge of the stage. Loudest concert I've ever been to in my life. I saw Jimmy Spheris there, who was marvelous. Somebody not a lot of people don't know about. Fantastic vocalist, guitarist, songwriter. Died tragically in a motorcycle accident, unfortunately. But he wrote a lot of great stuff, had a great sound. He did the Keishi classic, I Am the Mercury. I am the Mercury, light of the morning. Had a great voice. It was just real satiny, silky voice. He had kind of a folksy guitar style, excellent acoustic guitarist. He changed the tuning on his guitar about 7 times that night. Never popped a string. Used the same guitar for everything and just kept changing the tuning. I was blown away by that. That guitar had to be made of iron. It was incredible.
Wow.
So I saw him up close and personal. Who else did I see there? Oh, UFO. Talked to Michael Schenker for a while. That was on the it was the album that had Only You Can Rock Me. Was that what album was that? Because it's kind of like a comeback from Michael Schenker. He'd been out of the band for a while.
I was going to say, so it wasn't Heavy Pettin'.
No, it was long after that, because that was
long after that.
That was his heyday in the band, and then
that's what I thought.
He joined the Moonies and things like that. Didn't show up for concerts. Michael was kind of a flighty guy. He wasn't getting along with Phil Mogg a lot because Phil would get rough, and Michael's a frail guy. He was sick a lot and that kind of thing.
Have you met Michael?
Yeah, Mike's a nice guy.
Really nice. I thought so. Yeah.
He was very cool.
Well, you mentioned Uli Roth. Now that's a guy that
the God.
I've been fortunate through little adventures here and there via the Riverport, going backstage to the Scorpions when they opened for Motley Crue. That's sad, but
I have to laugh. It's just a joke to me, but okay.
It is. Personally, it is a joke to me too. But I did get to go backstage and hang out with them then. So I met Matthias and I met Rudolph, and of course I did an interview with Rudolph for that Face to Face. I'm sorry, Eye to Eye album, not Face to Face. That was the Angels. But anyway, when they had the Eye to Eye, I did that. So I met them there, and then I met Michael at the NAMM show, and then Uli was supposed to be at the NAMM show one of the years that I was there. They had his scalloped guitar, the scalloped neck guitar. But then the next year, he was there.
Yes, he was.
So I went down there and I met him. I thought, dude, come on. I thought Uli Roth, you look at those Scorpions album covers, I thought that dude was like 6 feet tall.
He's not very tall at all.
No, he's like 5'6".
Klaus Meine's not a giant either.
Oh no, he's even like 5'5". I would think that he's even maybe a little shorter.
A lot of these singers are short. Yeah, it's wild like that.
Yeah, like
Mickey
Jack Blades.
Yeah, Jack Blades. Mickey Thomas is real short. I met him.
Eric Bloom.
Steve Walsh.
Buck Dharma.
Yeah, Buck Dharma. The guys in Blues Cult, they're all pretty tiny too.
You know, one of my favorite pictures is,
yeah.
and I hope I can find it sometime. I'll put it on here. One of my favorite pictures is Jay Hayes next to Buck Dharma.
That's great.
It's like Andre the Giant and
I'm sure.
my mom. It's like, it's like holy crap. But anyway, yeah. So Mississippi Night, I saw Dream Theater there. I saw one of the cool shows. I saw there was Michael Morales. In fact, I accidentally used that name on the air the other night when Jeff and I were doing a show Sunday. But Michael Morales was there. He did a great show. Very heavy pop record, but he was doing the whole David Cassidy thing where total pop record, but when he played it, it was rocking the whole time. I saw Doc in there. I was there at Eric Johnson as well.
That was loud.
Saw Bad English there.
Wow.
That was cool. And so Bad English was there. And guess who was visiting that night at the show? Ken Hensley from Uriah Heep. And SLM at the time.
He was such a cool guy.
But anyway, these were some pictures. There's me and Paul back in my business in the front, party in the back days, I guess.
Yeah, right? Like when I first knew you.
And there's Pat Torpy.
Cool.
I have another picture with Pat.
He was a monster drummer.
Yes.
Yeah, he was great.
There's me and Eric. And then
great singer, man. Very underrated singer.
He is, yeah. And there's me and Billy.
Billy, yeah.
First Mr. Big tour.
I met Paul Gilbert once.
Yeah. He's a
NAMM show.
He's a sweet dude.
Yeah, he's a real nice guy. Yeah.
In fact, I was at the NAMM show and I went to the Laney booth and they had a video screen up and they were showing what was the name of the why can't I say it? Oh shit. It's the name of their video. Anyway, I was thinking of it any other day but today. But I'm sitting there watching the video and then it changed to Opeth and I'm not a big Opeth fan, but I look there to my left and there's Paul Gilbert. I just watched you on the screen.
The man is all arms, legs, and fingers. His fingers are like 8 inches long. It's crazy.
It is crazy. It is crazy. I remember the first time I ever heard of him was in a guitar magazine or a music magazine, and he was eating. The ad showed him eating breakfast cereal with guitars in it.
I think I remember seeing that ad.
I don't know if he was holding a copy of the magazine or something, and he's got his breakfast, and it said, "See, listen to hear Paul Gilbert and his band Racer X," and I immediately went out and found Racer X and bought their first record. What a great record! Oh my God!
I've got a video of them, a concert video of them. Freaking fantastic, man! Just outrageous. Outrageous.
Yeah, and everything they've put out is brilliant.
Oh yeah.
And then years later, George Lynch would play over and open for Yngwie Malmsteen over at Pops. And there was a young guy behind me who had a Racer X shirt on. I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, oh, that's cool. You got a Racer X shirt on. And then I realized, wait a minute. The drummer was Jeff.
Oh, Jeff Martin
was the lead singer of Racer X because he's a drummer too.
Right, yeah. He's a wicked singer. Oh my God.
Holy crap. So good. So good. What do we got going on here? I just want to double check here. Consider doing an episode about music documentaries. Yes, I have. I'm actually getting ready to put together a movie night with music movies. And I got to figure out how to do it because you got documentaries and then you have, movies like this. I just got this and finally watched it. Streets of Fire.
Cool.
It's got one of my favorite Fix songs on it. But when they play it in the credits.
That figures.
but it was a fun movie. Not a great movie, but it was fun. It was worth the $5.99 I paid. Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah. Big fan. Mr. Big versus DLR Eat 'em and Smile. Okay, so what you're talking about putting Steve Vai, Billy Sheehan, and Greg Bissonette up against Paul Gilbert, Billy Sheehan, and Pat Torpey.
All fabulous musicians. And as much as I don't personally enjoy David Lee Roth, that album is phenomenal. Not because of David Lee Roth in any way, shape, or form. Right. The band is sensational. And the overall writing was good because David wasn't writing everything on there.
Yeah, Greg Bissonette he's a monster player, but I would have to go with Mr. Big.
You go with Mr. Big? Yeah, I mean, well, you know, you can look at it, you know, and that's the silly thing. I didn't even bring that over here. I didn't grab my Mr. Big CDs to bring over, but this David Lee Roth's first album with Yankee Rose was a hit when I was working on the radio. It came out when I was working, so I played Yankee Rose. Shy Boy is a Billy Sheehan tune from the Talus days. I'm Easy, which was just a fun tune, which went along with what he did with I'm a Gigolo, and then Ladies Night in Buffalo is a great tune. Nice, cool, easy. Going Crazy was another fun, cool pop tune, which became one of the videos on the album. Then side 2, because we're looking at the vinyl, Tobacco Road, so well played with Steve.
Oh, yeah. Well, Steve just did everything well.
Yeah, Elephant Gun, what a kick-ass tune. Big Trouble, again, a really cool little tune. Bump and Grind is a lot of fun. And then That's Life, which goes back to the whole Showman, That's Life, bam, bam, with the horns and everything.
Kind of like David Lee Roth is now.
It's a tough way to go, and both albums are very, very good. I probably have to say Mr. Big, but you know, but Greg Bissonette again. I mean, what's the dip? You know, all you're doing really is splitting hairs between drummers is really all you're doing.
Really, yeah. And vocalists. One guy that can sing, one guy that can't. Sorry, did I say that out loud?
You got, yeah, and I mean, you know, both guitar players are brilliant guitar players for their own right, and that's really the beauty of it, because they both have their own style. It's not like you're like, oh, they're both just a couple of wankers, you know. But I mean, it's they have their own style, and the bass player is the same.
Yeah.
So you know, you're really splitting hairs between two awesome drummers, which I refuse to do. Damn it.
And if you split hairs,
but if you're talking vocals, Eric Martin's got it.
Oh, yes. God, he sings.
Yes.
So he's a great singer.
You know, but that's a great one. And then look at this. He was on this album. Did you remember this? He was on Tony McAlpine's Edge of Insanity album.
Oh, really? I haven't heard that much of it, so I don't know.
Yeah, it was Steve Smith who got famous in Journey.
Yep.
And Steve Smith and it was Billy Sheehan and Tony McAlpine on this album.
Wow. I'll check that out.
So I had him autograph that. I'm not so sure he didn't autograph this twice.
That's back in the Shrapnel days, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of good musicians.
Yeah, he had that one, and I'm still trying to remember the other one. It was like it was a prison. But then there's the first Racer X album right there. And Paul signed that. Yeah, Jeff Martin. That's who was on drums that night and singing plenty of cool background.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah, just brilliant. And another really sweet dude, another great bass player is Juan Alderete. You want to talk about somebody who's underrated? You never hear about him.
I know his name. Who's he been with?
He was outside of Racer X. He's been with the main thing he's done outside of that is Mars Volta.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Right?
That's a big change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very different.
Yeah. But you want to talk about another sweet guy? I mean, come on. He is one of the coolest guys. And we got some Talus.
Mm-hmm.
And here's one thing I really wanted to, here's something I was telling Guy. I said, this is perfect because we can talk a little bit about Billy, and I can talk about something that I really don't want to talk about with Billy because it's, but so Skyscraper, I thought Skyscraper was a great record. Okay. Right. I thought it still had some really cool songs on it. Knucklebones, Just Like Paradise, The Bottom Line, Skyscraper, damn good. Hot Dog and a Shake, which is a great song. Stand Up, Hina, Perfect Timing, and Two Fools a Minute is a great record. Now look at this. So there's the album. You've all seen the album. He's doing some rock climbing, right? So I meet Billy, and I have this with me, and see what he writes.
I can't see it, but what do you write?
He said, snip. He drew scissors and said, snip.
That's great. That's Billy's sense of humor. I love it. It's actually the name of one of my favorite dance moves is Hot Dog and a Shake.
Oh, really?
I'm not going to show it to you.
That go with the PTA? Is that what it is? I'll never forget you getting a kick out of your mom throwing you off by telling you that.
God, yeah. Holy yeah.
But no, lots of great stuff to talk to Billy about. I mean, he's done so many things. Winery Dogs, one of the latest things that he's done. And I've not really fully ingested all of that stuff. I'm eager to do it. And of course, Niacin. He did Niacin as well.
Yeah. Niacin did a great song with Glenn Hughes on vocals. Or it was Billy Sheehan. Maybe it wasn't Niacin. It was Billy Sheehan and Steve Lukather.
Oh, wow.
And they had Glenn Hughes on vocals, and it was a blues song. What the hell's the name of it? I've got it. I'll have to get you a copy of it.
He also did an album with
anything Glenn Hughes I love.
Well, me too.
His solo records, just great.
All his solo records are great, yeah, and he's been with so many people. He's guested on millions of albums besides having a huge career himself. He's just amazing.
The Phenomenon stuff he did was just amazing.
Right, yeah.
And Glenn is. Do you want to talk about another sweetheart guy to meet in music? Is Glenn Hughes? I mean, I remember bumping into him at the NAMM show. There was a photographer dude who told me that he was going to be at a microphone booth, and then he left. We were both there we were in line to meet Paul Stanley, and then he got done meeting him and took off. I was like, oh crap! I don't. Where? When? And then I'm in line for the Dean Markley booth. I think to meet Randy Jackson. Which that's a story in itself. So I'm in line to meet Randy Jackson, and here comes Glenn Hughes. And I'm like, could you hold my place? I'll be right back. And so I went out and I said, hey, my buddy Guy Kingsbury, he emails with you a little bit. And he goes, yeah, I know him. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. So we kind of talked for a couple of minutes. Then I got back in line. So I get back in line, and American Idol was huge at the time. And he was on the show. So I get up to Randy Jackson, and I've got this new digital camera, right? It's that size, because everything we had before that was this big or whatever, right? So our new camera's like this big, size of like a cigarette pack, like Lucky Strikes even, not even, So there's a gentleman and his gal that were there, and they're like, hey, what's that?
Did you keep it in your sleeve?
I kept it tucked in my pocket. Yeah, rolled it in my sleeve. Yeah. Then I went around singing Grease tunes. No,
no.
I did until they were threatening to throw me out, and so it was the dance moves. Really, I was killing it.
Hot dog and shake.
They didn't like it. So I'm in line. I get up to Randy Jackson, and I'm like, oh my god. So I look at this gentleman who reminded me of my old college roommate. And I said, could you take my picture with him? He goes, yeah, no problem. So they step away to do that. In the meantime, I'm calling Christine, and I'm like, hey, I got somebody you got to talk to. And I look at him like, hey, could you say hi to my wife real quick? He goes, yeah, man. So he takes the phone. Well, I'm looking at them, trying to get them to take a picture. And I'm like, did you get it? No, wait, hold on. Okay, did you get it? In the meantime, he's talking to Christina. I don't know what he's saying, right? So we get done. And he doesn't get the shot. He never got the shot. Couldn't figure it out. I'm like, thanks, bro. And he's like, yeah, good meeting you. And he gives me the phone back, and I walk off. I go, hey, did you? How about that? She goes, well, he didn't say who it was.
She didn't know who she was
I'm
talking
like,
to. That's great.
Randy Jackson.
Well, you didn't tell me who I was getting on the phone with
Randy.
one time.
So the next thing she says is, she repeats it. He didn't say who it was. I'm like, just never mind. So she picks me up at the airport, and I go, could you believe it? You talked to Randy Jackson. Wasn't that cool? She goes, he didn't say who it was. And I'm like, okay, I get that.
But it was
But
Randy
you
Jackson.
talked to Randy Jackson. And she goes, yeah, I don't know. All of a sudden, this guy's on the phone, and he goes, hey, how's it going? He goes, yeah, I'm here hanging out with your husband. Yeah, we don't have any clothes on, and we're taking pictures. I'm like, oh my God.
Most people don't know that he did an album and a tour with Journey.
Yeah. Yes, he
Great
did.
album.
Yes. Yeah. I played those songs that he recorded on the radio. I was a DJ at that time.
Was
Raised
that
on
Escape?
Radio.
Was it Escape? Or
What's
no?
that?
No, it was
No, he was on Raised on Radio.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Because after Frontiers,
Mm-hmm. That was
after Frontiers, they shit on the band and just fired Ross, got rid of Steve Smith, and you're like, what in the hell is going on?
Things all around. It was very weird.
So, I can't say that they recorded a crap record. They had 2 great hits off of it. Girl Can't Help It.
Oh, yeah.
And
at that point,
and
Steve Perry and
Be
Neil
Good to
Sean
Yourself.
they were pretty much done. So
yeah.
Neil would show up,
look
do
at
his
this.
parts and leave.
JD says he saw Uli once during the NAMM show several years back. He did a show at one of the local clubs. Yeah, I love that, JD. I love that they do these shows, man. I will talk about it. I don't want to keep eating up all of our time here talking about my stuff, but I did see a really amazing show that I'll tell you about sometime. But so here's another me and Guy thing. Mike, this is crazy. So Guy has been, okay. All right, hold on. Let me preface this by saying Guy is a vocalist, a singer, a pitch awesome dude, right?
I get lucky.
Guy and I've been working together for years. I'm very blessed that Guy allows me to sing on stage with him. So, I mean, I must not make too many bad moves, but I'm not the world's greatest. But he's picky. He won't do Triumph because he doesn't like Rick Emmett's voice.
I can't listen to it long enough to learn it. The guy's off key all the time. It just grates on my nerves. It's like nails on a blackboard.
Which I wish he never would have told me that, because now I hear it. And it doesn't bother me, though. I don't hear it as tightly as he does. But okay. So anyway, so he's like that, right? So y'all Scorpions fans, remember the early Scorpion stuff. If you're a Scorpions fan,
their albums were imports only.
Then yes, right? And you remember back in the day when he did Hellcat and give me another one, Dark Lady. Did he do
Dark Lady?
What's another one that he did?
That was an early song.
Yeah. His vocals are not the reg. They're not the norm. They're very almost psychedelic.
I called him the Bob Dylan of heavy metal back then. Amazing writer, but he just should not be by a microphone. Now he has obviously taken some lessons or trained himself, because he's singing much better now. He's quite listenable now. But back then it was like I just had to turn off the vocal and listen to the guitar, because it was hard to hear. It was really hard to listen to. And I love the man. He's phenomenal. He's just a god.
Yeah, a crazy, amazing guitar player. Now, he is the reason I think that Dio had that line to Vivian when Vivian was like, I'd like to get in on some of the vocals, and stuff like that. But he was like, guitar players play guitar and singers sing.
Well, look at Dio. He played everything, but all he did on record was sing. Except for the very first band he was in when he was a youngster, he played bass. But that was,
Yeah. And we all know that there's guitar players that sing their asses off.
Oh, yeah.
Look at Richie Kotzen. Look at,
God, yeah. He's awesome. Love it.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got so much power. Okay. I don't want to get too sidetracked because I will. I'm like that. I'm ADD. So, guy's big line to me is finish a sentence, Stuart. That one and the ultimate one, and the ultimate one, I'll tell you the story in a minute. What is you'll be fine. That's his other line. You'll be fine. So that story's
You're never
coming.
Gonna let me live that down, are
you? No, because you'll never let me live it down. Anyway, Uli Roth. Let's get back to Uli. It was the NAMM show. Thank you, JD. Yes, it was the NAMM show. Yes, and so I went down to, you know how there's multiple levels there. So I go down and there he is, I'm like, oh my God, he's short. But how amazing to meet him. And he was the last of the Scorpions guitar players that I had yet to meet. So I'd met them all at that point. And so then I
four with Rudy. I don't, yeah.
So I take, I say hello and do this and that, get the autograph, and then take a picture and we're off, right? I go along about the show. Well, I'm walking through the past the escalators, and here comes Uli. You can't miss him. Got the hair, he's got the scarf around his head, just like you see all
Looks
the
like
time.
He should have been playing at Rainbow Bridge with Jimmy.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
And so here he comes up the escalator, and I go, oh shit. Now boop boop beep boop boop boop. Hey guy, hey, what's up, Hollywood? Guy says, what's up, Hollywood? I'm like,
I knew you were out
hey,
there.
And before I did that, before I called him, I look at Uli and I go, hey Uli, it's good to see you again. Hey, I got a buddy of mine. He is a huge fan, and I would love to call him. Would you mind taking a couple of minutes and talking with him? And he says, yes, that's fine. So I said, that's great. So beep, boop, boop, boop. Hey, Hollywood, you've already been here before. We told this part. And I said, hey, there's somebody I want you to talk to. And I hand the phone over, and I'll let Guy finish the story.
I heard this voice go, hello, who am I talking to? I said, this is Guy. Who's this? He says, it's Uli Roth. I'm in Walgreens shopping for birthday cards. And I go, at the top of my lungs. I couldn't believe I was talking on the phone to Uli Roth. It was pretty awesome. He was very cool. Very cool. Nice guy to talk to. Very friendly.
I love that moment.
Time too,
Yeah. Yeah. He talked to you for a good few minutes.
Yeah. We were on the phone 3-4 minutes. It was really nice. I'll tell you, sweethearts of guys to me. You're talking about Glenn Hughes, Frank Marino, one of the nicest guys ever in music. And another guy, Adrian Ballou. Just like talking to your next door neighbor. Just that cool. Wow. I met him at a NAMM show. Everybody was clamoring around Eddie Van Halen. It's like, I didn't care. I liked Van Halen, as far as his talent and everything, but I wasn't into the band because I didn't like David Lee Roth's excuse for vocals. Yeah. So I wasn't interested in going to meet Eddie Van Halen, and it was a crowd scene. Adrian Ballou standing in a booth by himself. He had just released the album with Big Electric Cat on it, his solo album, his first solo album. He had been on King Crimson. He'd played with Eno and David Bowie and Talking Heads, and he was just a Frank Zappa. He'd worked with all kinds of people. I discovered him through Guitar Player magazine. They had a picture on the cover of this guy in a pink suit peering with just like his nose and his eyes, like the, Leroy Was Here thing on the fence over the side of a Stratocaster. I'm like, who's this guy with the pink suit and the goofy haircut? And then I started reading about him, like, wow. And a week later, I saw him on one of the late night shows, King Crimson. He did Elephant Talk. And I was like, holy shit, what is this guy doing? And how does he do it? And I was blown away by what he had going on. I started checking out his other music, the past things he'd done. So he's at the damn show, and I went up and just started talking to him. He was just as nice as he could be. Very cool. And he was probably glad to have somebody to come and talk to him while everybody's clamoring around Eddie Van Halen. But I kind of, just kept track of him after that, bought a lot of his albums. And a few years later, my brother-in-law at the time, who was a St. Louis cop, did a lot of security jobs on the side. He says, "Hey, Adrian Blue's going to be at the High Point tomorrow night. You want to go?" I'm like, "Hell yeah." So he had me meet him there. I get there, and he tells me, "Man, I couldn't get you a ticket. It's already past capacity. There's a fire marshal issue." He says,
Damn.
"I can't get you into the show." And he says, "Wait a minute." He got a call on his walkie. He says, "The boss just called and says we're down a security guy. You want to work backstage security?" I'm like, "Backstage security at the High Point? That's a staircase in a parking lot." So I was in. That's all backstage security was. I had to guarantee they had a couple places to park and be sure nobody messed with them going up the stairs. I had the Billy Club. It was all cool. I'd have my guitar with me because I wanted to have Adrian sign it, which he did. And I don't know if he remembered me from the damn show, but he was very nice to me. Whole band was. He had just come off a Spiders from Mars tour with David Bowie. He had the band that became the Bears. They weren't the Bears yet. And they came up there and they played at the High Point, played their asses off. They had me in their pre-gig huddle where they all get around each other and do kind of a cheer and stomp their feet in the staircase and everything. It was really, really just a sweet night. Just great. Loud. Oh my God, he was loud. He had.
You have never told me that.
By the monitor mixer. He had two chorus twin amps. When they first came out, the Fender twin amps with the red knobs on them. There are these chorus amps with 212s in them on the floor like monitors pointing up at him. And he had those things dimed. They were so fucking loud. I had earplugs in and it was loud. But man, he had total control of his sound. Anything he wanted to get out of his guitars, he got. Every little ping, every little chirp, every little whale sound, seagull sound, rhinoceros sound, anything he wanted just came right out perfectly. It was just amazing. Amazing to see him up close and personal doing that stuff. And just a nice, nice guy. Just like I said, just like, Tim Allen talking to his neighbor over the fence, It was that kind of thing. Just a really cool guy.
Wow.
So there's somebody you should try and talk to sometime. He could tell you some stories.
Mike, throughout your years, have you had a chance to meet up with some of your favorite musicians? Have you?
I was a big Seven Dust fan, growing up.
Yeah.
I say growing up, but I mean, they came a little bit later. But all the growing up, no, because I couldn't get close to them. They were larger than life. You know what I mean? I never could. I was just a fan, right? But then, I did meet Seven Dust, and, I got to say, I did hang out with the drummer, Danny Carey from Tool.
Sweet.
About 4 different times. Once in Chicago at a hotel across the street from the Chicago arena. That was just a night of just partying. It was great. I sat with his dad at the arena in a suite watching the 10,000 days.
That's pretty cool.
Tour. Listen to this. And then the one show that they played, we had a house party in like 40 and 70 in the Lake St. Louis area.
Uh-huh.
He and Justin Chancellor, the bass player, they had the bus driver, right? They took the whole rig to this house.
Wow.
They had a live band, and both Justin Chancellor and Danny Carey coming to the house. We had laminates and everything for this party.
Wow.
It was put on by a good friend of mine. And I just got to say, it was just I got my picture taken. You know what I'm saying? I'm Danny Carey. I'm a drummer. He's just like the epitome.
So somebody you'd idolize.
Right. So cool. He's super cool. And I also saw him when he was cool enough to do Pygmy Love Circus. That's a band that prior to Tool that he was in, and they were in just a little bitty 15-foot bus. And he was just signing, drum heads, doing artwork on it. I sat there. I was just so in awe. That was the first time I met him. So several times it was cool. Danny Carey.
Wow. I'm trying to. I mean, I've got. There's lots of stories that I can tell. Through different ones. Now, how many other bands have you met, Mike?
I met Godsmack. When cool. I guess I saw them at Riverport. We'll call it Riverport. And just you have the meet and greets or whatever, but it was just never as cool as you know what I mean. Really hanging out, drinking, sharing a bottle. Oh, and Pygmy Love Circus, we were backstage. I remember backstage we were at Pops. They played in that little backstage room. We just had a bottle. We're just passing it. It was just good times, really good times.
There's nothing like having those cool personal moments that are the ones. That's what this show is about. Every week talking to people, and you guys helping save my ass tonight. That's what this is about, and it's about sharing all those moments and all of our thoughts, not just, oh, I saw them live, or and it's more about, like you just said, Mike, it's like those moments that you have where you're just like a couple of guys hanging out, and it gets to that point where you're like, we're just drinking, having a beer or whatever, and you're passing the bottle. And I think you said Pops. Pops is for our millions of viewers, Pops is a club that's across the river by the strip clubs in Illinois. And it has played host to so many amazing concerts. Everybody from Cinderella to Megadeth to
Blind Guardian with Symphony X.
Blind Guardian, Symphony X. Nightwish has played there multiple times. Dokken, Queensryche. Yeah. I mean, just tons of them. There's so many great bands. And I remember. I'm trying to think of it now. Oh yeah, okay. So I go over to Pops. Iced Earth is there. Because I went to the NAMM show in Nashville and met up with the bass player, Jimmy McDonough, who would soon after this show and after I met him would join Megadeth for a blip. And so we met at the NAMM show. Then they show up here with Iced Earth. Well, at that time, they did the Glorious Burden, which was Ripper Owens on lead vocals on that record.
Wasn't that the band that Ripper was with for a while? Yeah, I couldn't remember.
So Jimmy gets me over to the show, and I'm hanging out backstage, and here comes Ripper Owens with the largest freaking suitcase I have ever seen on wheels, and this biggest bag of golf clubs I've ever seen.
I love that.
And I go, dude, do you want some help with that? And he goes, yeah, do you mind? I go, I don't mind at all, bro. That's why I'm here. So I wheel it out, put it in underneath the bus, and he goes, hey man, thanks a lot. He goes, get in the bus and get yourself a beer.
That's nice.
I got a lot of respect for Ripper, but it's not. I'm thinking in my head, this is nothing against Ripper at all. I love Ripper, such a nice guy. Again, a real blessing for him to have fronted Judas Priest for two records, technically 3 records if you count the live one. And just a really nice guy. But all the same, again, not his band.
Right.
This is John Schaefer's band. John Schaefer is to Iced Earth as Dave Mustaine is to Megadeth.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I am not getting on the bus unless John tells me to get on the bus. So I see him, and I see John, and John and I start talking. He autographs some stuff for me, and then we're over by the bus door, and it opens up, and here comes Ripper, and he's got a beer in his hand. I go, hey, is that my beer? And he goes, didn't you get in and get a beer? I go, no. I mean, I look at John. I'm like, John, I'm not going to go in your bus unless you tell me to go on your bus. And he goes, go in there and get yourself a beer, John says. And he says, get me one while you're at it. I'm like, okay, I'll do
Fair
that.
Enough.
Thanks. So there's some great stories from Pops. Yeah. I've got some stories I wasn't too happy about at Pops, like Cinderella getting delayed. They had postponed. And when they finally showed up, they had 3 bands open.
Wow.
And Yeah, and one of them was Hair of the Dog, which wasn't worth a shit.
Yeah.
And the other one reminds me, I say about this band the way I think Guy would probably present it.
Uh-oh.
What the hell was the name of it? Life of Agony was the name of the band,
I've
and
heard
that's
of
what
it.
it was like for me watching them.
Mhm.
I was in a life of agony.
Yeah.
And they just came on. Cinderella finally came on too late. The best band of the night outside of Cinderella to me was Sync. Don't remember how they spell it, but they were from Joliet. Three-piece band out of Joliet, killed it. Better than those other two bands.
That's
Fuck 'em.
cool.
Those guys were killer. So I don't know if those guys can hear this or anybody knows of them, but I don't know who they are. Also, another thing that Billy played on was a track from that Glenn Tipton solo record. Glenn Tipton from Judas Priest. He played on Baptism of Fire, the
That's right.
title
I forgot
track.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. You ever bumped into somebody who played on a record and they didn't remember what they did?
Mhm.
Like I met up with Steve Morse, speaking of Pops. I met up with Steve Morse at Pops, and I'd taken the Triumph album Surveillance cover with me. And I handed it to him to sign, and he goes, "What did I play on this?"
I bet Steve Luther can't remember everything he's played on.
No, I bet not.
So much stuff.
I bet not. I did just bring him up the other day, though, because I was playing a game called Bloody Wolf, and it was for the TurboGrafx 16 back in the day in the 90s. And I'm playing through a level, and that was back still when it that kind of music. And I'm like, so I'm playing along, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's White Sister from Toto. Some guy had, taken that music and played it on the synthesizer, whatever, they used to create that, and did like an 8-bit Mario version of White Sister
Interesting.
by Toto. I flipped out, and I ended up talking to somebody who knew Steve Lukather and emailed with him regularly. And Steve, I said, could you ask him if they okayed somebody to use that? He said, nope. I was like, sorry, bro.
Hopefully somebody got busted for that then.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, you hope so. He played on Greg Howie's debut album. Billy did. I don't remember that specifically, but he may have. So anyway, I get we could probably wrap it up there, guys. I mean, we should do this again sometime.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Guy is one of the other things I want to make mention too about with Guy is that he is a huge Sabbath head.
Oh, the biggest.
From moment one all the way through, he's been a huge Sabbath fan. And you actually tell him about what happened with the comic that they put out.
Oh yeah. Years ago, is the first NAMM show I went to? Yeah, I think so. The one in Chicago, or maybe it was one in LA. I can't remember. But anyway, one of the NAMM shows, they had this rock and roll comic booth going on, and they had posters up on the wall. They had one of Alice Cooper, they were working on for lead for it, but they had on a Black Sabbath, and had a great illustration. It's a big ornate cross, and each point of the cross they've got photographs of them, pictures of them, caricatures. And I said, "You're doing a Black Sabbath comic?" And they said, "Yeah, it's going to be coming out such time." I said, "Oh, that is so cool." He said, "You're a Black Sabbath fan?" I said, "Oh, immensely. I am like the world's biggest Black Sabbath fan. Maybe you can give us some information." I said, "What do you want to know?" Which got me into some more trouble with Black Sabbath at one time earlier than that. Great. But anyway, I got to be the sales representative's right-hand man when Geezer Butler came to visit us, because he didn't know that much about him except for Black Sabbath. I said, "What do you want to know?" He said,
Wow.
"Well, you're telling me today," so that was cool. But anyway, I'm talking to this guy from the comic book place. I can't remember his name right now, but nice fella. And I said, "Well, I've got all kinds of information. What do you need to know?" He says, "I didn't know who some of the players were, after the main Sabbath thing and after Dio
Yeah.
touring, and they had different, singers and different people playing bass when Geezer was out, different people playing drums when Bill Ward was out, and things like that." And I said, "Sure, I can tell you." He says, "If you can send me some information, man, I'll be sure to." get you a copy of the magazine when it comes out. I said, that'd be great. So I sent him all the information that I had. You know, I had pictures and names and things like that. And the magazine shows up. I didn't realize that's what it was. Came to me on my birthday, which was perfect. I opened it up, and there's this Black Sabbath comic. And you open up the cover, inside the first page, in all the credit stuff, it's got special thanks to Guy Kingsbury on black page with red ink and that gothic looking lettering. I was like, holy shit, I got in a Black Sabbath comic book. I couldn't
That's
believe
killer.
it. Yeah, I was blown away. It was like, really paid me some great respect there. I was just completely blown away by it. So yeah, I've still got it. I keep it in a safe place. I'm not sure where it is now, but it's in a safe place. So it'll never get damaged or aged or anything like that. I've moved so many times in the box somewhere. But yeah, it was very cool. It was very cool. And but yeah, getting to hang with Geezer Butler for a day when he came to St. Louis Music was very cool. That was really nice. His wife.
Yeah.
It was right after the Born Again tour, which I had seen. I had seen that one with Ian Gillan, which was sensational, just magnificent. A lot of people didn't like the album. I thought it was phenomenal.
I love that record.
Yeah, it's a great record. The production of the record itself, the actual pressing was not what they wanted. They were very unhappy with it as a band because it had some muddy feel to it. It wasn't as clear. You know, since they remastered it, put on CD and things like that, it sounds a lot better.
Guy, what'd you think of the last record that they made?
Forbidden? Or are you talking about with Ozzy?
With Ozzy.
Okay.
13.
I think it's really, really great. The fact that Ozzy's voice has changed so much over the years, sometimes it doesn't really knock me out. But Ozzy's a guy that's really blown his voice hard. You know, he was always somebody that didn't hold up well live. You know, in the early days, he did okay. But after a while, it got pretty bad. Plus, the alcohol took a toll on him. Now, when he toured with Randy, he was sober, and he sounded great. And I met him right before he toured with Randy, and you could understand everything he said. He was in great shape. You know, he was toned up physically. Sharon had really beat his ass into shape. She did a great job with him.
I forget who was doing who played drums on that record. Wasn't it Rage Against the Machine drummer or something?
It was a different guy that toured with him and a different guy that played on the album. And I get the two confused. And they're guys that I'm not familiar with. They're with relatively well-known bands.
Yeah, the Rage Against the Machine drummer. I think he was the one that did the session.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, he did a great job. Caflados or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the drumming was great. The album is recorded really well. Some of the music's just, I mean, musically I like it, but it's just like I'm so used to hearing much better singers than Ozzy play with Iommi over the last 30 years.
Yeah.
That, you know, Ozzy doesn't know how to hold a candle to them. Yeah, it's that sound. It's that first album kind of a sound of his voice, but different because it's so much lower now and gruffer.
Yeah.
But they pulled it off well. It's a well done album. I'm glad they got together and got to do it, especially with Iommi fighting the cancer at the time. They'd just do sessions when he could do it. He'd do as much as he could, and then he had to take a break for a while. But which he seems to be doing better physically right now, from what I've read. I know he's still planning to do some remastering of things with Tony Martin, and hopefully do something else with him in the future.
Cool.
Which would be fantastic. I think Tony Martin is probably the best singer they had of the band. He did great albums, great writing with Tony Iommi. His writing, like Dio, just fit Iommi's playing so well. Ozzy, basically, he just wrote melodies. Geezer would write the lyrics, and Ozzy would pretty much do things that just fit with the guitar. He didn't really experiment, whereas these other singers came in and did completely different things. They did singer things. Like when I write a song with somebody, I don't sing to what the guitar is playing. I'm singing something that's, you know, a story unto itself, and it just fits with what is going on instrumentally, you know, because whether I've written the instrumental or somebody else has written it and I'm inspired by them, that's how I write my lyrics. And to me, just doing something that sounds like Iron Man doesn't work for me. I mean, it's a great song. It's an anthem. It's a classic piece of heavy metal, but I couldn't write something that did that. You know, where the vocal was the exact same thing as the guitar. I can't write like that. And most singers that I listen to don't write like that. It's just not the way they do it. That's what Ozzy was good at doing. When he started doing his own thing, it was a little different because he had Randy Rhoads, and he started experimenting more with his own writing. I'm sure he had some help, but he graduated quite a bit as a writer from that point. But yeah, once again with the last album, it's kind of like the early Black Sabbath stuff as far as that. Not knocking that, because I love that stuff. You know, I'm very familiar with every nuance of every era of Black Sabbath, and yeah, I grew up listening to that first era with Ozzy and the original four. But when people say it's not Black Sabbath without Ozzy, I say bullshit. Black Sabbath is Tony Iommi. He is the guy who invented the riff, invented the sound, invented the feel, and put it all together. And without him, there would be no heavy metal. He developed that whole style because of the handicap of having 2 fingertips cut off and having to play with his pinky and his index finger and doing incredibly quick hammers and trills with that little finger and putting plastic tips on his 2 middle fingers to be able to play the guitar at all and not even be able to feel the guitar with those fingers. So he is a guy that is a genius in his own right for that. Invented a whole new style of music, invented a whole new technique, multiple techniques. And he's the first guy that did the light gauge strings on guitars. You couldn't get light gauge strings for guitars when he was that young and had the accident. He put them together himself out of banjo strings and things like that because none of the companies would make them for him. And then finally Piccato over there in England did, or in Italy, someplace, but he still uses Piccato strings to this day. And he uses really light strings. His E and B are both 8s. That's how skinny the strings are. Yeah, they're just crazy. So, I mean, I've used an 8 E string. I still do occasionally on Strats because Strats have tight tension. They feel like kind of an orthopedic guitar to me. And sometimes a 9 or a 10 on, I can't do a 10 on a Strat. It's too much for me because I got arthritis. But even a 9, sometimes it's hard for me to get my bends to happen and feel good and control my vibrato. So also 8s on a Strat. I use 9s on my other guitars. They have the shorter scale length. When you got a longer scale length like a Strat has, the lighter the string, the easier it feels. Fact of life. But yeah, he invented that whole style, and then finally the manufacturers caught on and made light gauge strings, and more of them made 24 fret guitars because he wanted 24 fret guitars, and Gibson wouldn't make him one. Now they do, but they wouldn't back then, you know. So he's finally gotten a lot of the kudos that he deserved for 50 fucking years. You know, he's finally getting them now. And I'm happy with that because he was a guy that most people didn't even know who he was by name. I was like, Tony Iommi, they're like, who? You've listened to so much of his stuff, and you've listened to so much stuff that he influenced, you know, and I had no idea who he was, but now everybody does. It's crazy.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Cause I was looking over the albums, and I guess because Tony recorded 4, Tony Martin did 4 albums, right?
Yes.
Cause he did
5.
Headless Cross.
Yeah, Headless Cross.
Well,
before Headless Cross, he did The Shining, or the Eternal Idol.
Oh, he did that one too.
Yeah, Ray Gillen was in the studio with them because he had just taken over for Glenn Hughes on the tour.
That's right.
When Glenn had a blood clot in his throat and couldn't sing, Ray Gillen came in and started recording the album, and then he bailed before they finished to go join Badlands. So they had to bring in somebody, and they brought in Tony Martin to basically redo Ray's tracks. He did essentially what Ray had already done. And then by the time Headless Cross came out, he had found more of his own voice in the band. And then Tear came out after that. Let's see. So that was Eternal Idol, Headless Cross, Tear, Cross Purposes.
Forbidden.
Wasn't there another one in between?
Forbidden.
I was thinking there was another one in between, but maybe not. I guess that.
No, 94 was Cross Purposes, and then 95 was Forbidden.
Forbidden. Okay, yeah. And that's the one where they had some producer that had no business producing a heavy metal album. It was just not right. And that's
who was the producer?
He was some guy that does rap.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, if you listen to production,
it's
nowhere near the other album. Headless Cross and Tear are phenomenally well produced.
Well, how did they end up with Ernie C?
Ernie C, yeah. I don't know how they ended up with him. Some of the record company hooked him up with. You know, record companies, when they own your balls, they do whatever they want to do with you. So...
Oh, he was in Body Count. Wow, that's crazy.
So it wasn't a guy that really had a handle on recording that kind of music.
The album cover's awesome.
Oh, yeah, the artwork's phenomenal. And their songs are really good, but it's just not as well produced as the albums came out previously.
Wow.
And that's something that I know Iommi wants to remaster and redo some stuff on, maybe even add some tracks. Who knows if it'll ever happen, but it'd be great if it did.
So the album's opening track, The Illusion of Power, features a verse by Body Count member Ice-T.
Yeah, Ice-T does a little spoken thing on there. Not exactly rap, but definitely not singing. And it's kind of pointless. Nothing against Ice-T. You know, I like him on TV and things like that, but it's just kind of pointless to have him on there. He did not add anything to the album.
Right. It's almost like
sorry, Ice.
Yeah.
Don't put a
Oops.
cap in my ass, man. Just so you know.
What a way to end this show.
How do you follow that?
So, so remember, Mike Maynard got Free Willy. Everybody check it out. May 1st, if you're in the area, out in St. Peters, Missouri. Also want to promote Diamond Music Hall, where they're going to have the gig that night with Bitter Pill, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to have Katie Cruz will be there, and she'll be doing the helping with the promotion for Free Willy. And you can join in the drawing and see if you get picked to be a Frozen shirt wearer.
Yeah. Frozen cardboard shirt wearer.
Guys, I had a blast. Thanks for having me on.
Hey,
thanks for coming. Again, I need plenty of people to make chicken salad, but that's what it's all about. Again, folks, I'm sorry Billy couldn't be here. I've already asked him about a date in May, so hopefully he can make it. And otherwise, keep watching on Tuesday night. We're going to have Claudia Rose, and I'm going to do my best to have to maybe take this camera perhaps and do some footage from the show.
That'd be great.
At Diamond Music Hall. So that'll be on our regular show night, because it's going to be pretty close to 7 o'clock when we start, I'm sure.
We start at 8.
And like I said, that's close enough, closer than 9 o'clock. So
then Mike Matthews will be doing his Hendrix tribute after us at 9, or a little after.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Yeah, they got a lot of cool tribute shows going on out there. They had a Def Leppard show out there, GNR tribute band there too. So yeah, and I guess the Def Leppard gig's going to go to Sturgis.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
But plug myself.
Pyromaniacs.
The night that we play with Claudia on Thursday the 29th, I get to stay and be one of the backup singers with Mike Matthews Hendrix tribute, and I will be finally getting to sing with Ingrid Berry, which is going to be a lot of fun because I admire her a lot. She's a sweetheart. Yeah, cool.
She is.
Remember when we opened for Scorfina's CD party, and she was really just complimenting me profusely about my singing. And I was like, wow, that's coming from her, So I finally get to sing with her. It's going to be fun. A lot of oohs and ahs, nothing fancy, but we'll be doing the cool backup stuff. It's going to be neat.
Yeah.
Backup
and
player.
she is very sweet. Ingrid Berry, Chuck Berry's daughter, is here in town still. I was blessed we did a benefit concert. Guy had an unfortunate situation with heart attack a few years ago, and so we did a benefit show, and I got to perform with Steve Scorfina, who is from Pavlov's Dog and from long ago with the original REO Speedwagon.
Makes work with other people.
And
cool cat.
So I got to jam with him, and Ingrid Berry was singing, so I got to back her up. That was quite cool. I'd met her a long time before that at a Scorfina gig down at Blueberry Hill, down in the Loop. So yeah, cool stuff. May 1st, Diamond Music Hall. So check that out with Bitter Pill, and then Claudia Rose on Hammer Away Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. And then Thursday night at 8 o'clock, we'll be out at Diamond Music Hall doing a gig. Guy and I'll do the gig out there. And maybe Mike will come out and visit while we're out there.
Yeah.
So we'll talk some more Free Willy. But thank you, guys. Thank you for everybody in the chat. JD, Born Distracted, Pete, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out and hanging for the show, making some chicken salad out of chicken shit. That's what it's all about. And it's about the human experience. So that's what this was, definitely. I really appreciate my brothers, Guy and Mike, for being here with me tonight.
It's fun for me, man. Good time. Good re-meeting you, Mike. It's been a while.
Yes, good talking to you, Guy.
And I know I'll see both of you soon, and hopefully I'll have you both on the show again soon. We can talk some more music.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right, guys.
Peace
Take
out.
it easy.
Take care.